We are honored to be speaking with a very inspiring woman who hails from Mexico. Despite facing numerous challenges and obstacles along her way, she has managed to build a successful life here in Las Vegas. Her unwavering dedication to fitness and her unshakable spirit, her journey is an incredible testament to the power of perseverance and the importance of following one's dreams, no matter where you come from. So with no further ado, let's get this story started.
The Bright Side, a Gold Digger Talk with Jacqueline Andrea.
Miss Ruby Ojeda, welcome to The Bright Side.
Thank you.
¿Cómo estás? It's so nice to see you. It's been a while.
I know.
So how you been?
Good. I've been doing a lot of things. I've been having a lot of adventures lately, focusing a little bit more on myself. But honestly, I feel amazing, and I'm so happy that you reached out to me, that you wanted to do this interview, because I feel like we have a lot to talk about.
So I want to start from the beginning. So I will be like your therapist. So tell me about your childhood.
I definitely feel in therapy right now.
Tell me about your childhood, because I see a Ruby that is, I don't know how you used to be, but I see you very like outgoing, happy, always so positive. How was Ruby when she was, let's say, 6 years old?
I feel like right now I'm more close to that version when I was like a little kid. When I was 6 years old, I was diagnosed with ADHD. So I was very, like playing all over the place, playing around. I was here and there. My teachers will complain a lot because I will be the troublemaker. I will always like ask questions like, why do we have to do this?
Like, why
and the
exactly?
teacher is like, yeah, well, we're all going to paint. And I was like, no, why don't we go outside and dance and do this and that? Like I was always questioning the authority or people older than me.
So you're originally from Mexico.
Mexico City.
So when you were little, you were in Mexico.
Yes.
Yes. Did you speak English too, or?
So one of the things is that my dad wanted me to have English as a second language. So since I was like in kindergarten, he made sure that I was in this private school so I get like the opportunity to learn a second language, because on public schools, you don't have that.
So, because I'm very curious, so you were very outgoing. So what was that? Did you get in trouble in school? Something that you can remember that are like, yes.
I was very active all my childhood. So like my parents will always keep me busy. So I will have like dancing classes. I was in swimming lessons too. I was in taekwondo.
Oh my goodness.
I was like doing a lot of activities because like the teachers were like, your daughter has a lot of energy, so just make sure after school she has like a lot of activities so she gets tired. Yeah. So I just always had this like a lot of energy, and now I'm really thankful that my parents, worked so hard for me to have access to all of that, because now that I'm older, I think about all of that and I'm like, whoa, they were really working hard for me to have access to all of those privileges.
All right, so fast forward to, let's say, 15 years old Ruby. So I know you went through some situations that it was, tell me more about it. It was tough situations.
I think, yeah, when I was a teenager, I went through like a lot of phases. I think most of the teenagers do, but for me I was struggling with depression for most of my teenage years, and then like from there on, honestly, probably when I was like 13, 14, kind of like around that age. So it was like very hard for me because I had this feeling that I couldn't fit in. Like I was at school, but I was like, I don't feel like I belong anywhere. Like I was just like, what am I doing here? Like this is just not making sense to me. And I went through like a lot of phases where I'll just like want to, like drop school. I didn't like school. I liked my friends and like certain things about all of it. Mm-hmm. And I've always loved to like learn certain topics. Like I'm very into like researching and into like self-learning kind of. But it was hard, honestly, because I was like, I don't fit in. I don't see myself like anywhere. Like, what am I doing here? So I had my first suicide attempt when I was 17 years old, and that was probably like the rock bottom. Like that was the point where my family was like, something is not okay. I remember after that, I got diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. So I was 17, and it was a really hard time for me to process all of that. Because I would have my doctor at that time explaining to me like what was going on. And to me, it was like very hard to process, honestly. It was a lot. And then they kind of like told me that I was not never going to be able to have like a normal life. So in a way, it was a relief because it was like, oh, that makes sense.
Right.
You know, that this is making
It's like an answer, right?
because I was like, yeah, I always felt there was something wrong. So probably
Right.
like this is the answer. But then I kind of like also feel they put a conditioning into my mind
Like a tag.
because it's like, oh, you have a mental illness. And back then it wasn't like so popular in like mainly in Mexico City, like here, it's like so normal to talk about mental health awareness, right? But in Mexico City, it's a different reality. And my family wasn't like really understanding the whole process. My dad was like, this is not real. Like we never got the chance to go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a mental health institution.
It was not a thing.
It was not a thing. We were just barely making it to have food in our table, you know? So how is this? Like now you're telling me that my daughter has this. So for him, it was like very hard to understand. I feel
Right.
like for my whole family. And then to me, it was hard to see them struggle and go through all of this because of me. And then that also made me feel very guilty. Like, oh, there is something wrong with me. Now I see my dad and my mom being like worried about me the whole time. And it was honestly like a hard process. After that, I went to like all of the phases where I just wanted to hurt myself. So it wasn't any more about trying to take my life. It was more about like, you know, getting in touch with I started like drinking in a very young age. I started doing certain things that you're not supposed to do at that age. Today, with throughout the years and throughout everything that I went through, gave me the knowledge and gave me the tools to kind of like go through it. And now I know, and I always tell myself when I'm having this like hard days, I'm like, this is gonna pass. This is not forever.
It's not forever, it's not you.
It's not me. And then I know that I'm not gonna feel the same way forever. I still have this hypersensibility, like I feel things too much, like too hard or too strong. So whenever I'm going in this lows, because like still happen, I'm still a human being and we all go through it. The only difference is like maybe I kind of like feel it more. But I just tell myself, you know, I have this to retrain this self-conversation that I have with me. And I can tell you today is a healthier conversation. I became my best friend. And you would never tell something bad or something terrible or negative to your best friend. You will always encourage her. You'll always be like, you got this. So whenever I catch myself telling me all of these things, I'm like,
No. Snap out of it.
Let's go. And then I'm like, you're strong, you're resilient, you're powerful, you're beautiful, you're perfect. There's nothing wrong with you, because I feel like for so many years with this tag, you know, with this diagnose or whatever you want to call it, it put a certain like limitation of you're not capable, you're not worth it. You're
and
like,
you're gonna be like this because you will have this whatever mental illness.
Exactly. And then I feel like we do still are in control. Like even though yes, you can. I mean, I'm not gonna say like, oh, it's a lie then, you know, like the mental part of it doesn't exist. Like, no, it's fact, it's science. I actually got to learn more about like the neurological level that happens and the chemicals in your brain that alter all of this, you know, and how you can also help your body and your mind go throughout this depression states and get yourself out of it. I remember one of my friends recently asked me like, Ruby, do you think you don't deal with depression anymore? And I was like, if I can be honest, I'm going to tell you it's true. I feel like I still have depression every day. I just feel like I've developed this superpower to get myself out of it every time and every day. And now I choose to be in a different way. And now I just kind of like live in this natural high of life that the smallest and simple things in my life today makes me like super happy. and I'm like in love with life. I recently went to this trip to Kauai, and I had an amazing time. It was like a great experience. And then I was like thinking, I went back to when I was 17 years old. And I'm like, I'm glad that I didn't succeed on taking my life, because now I get to experience this.
Right.
And if it wasn't because it didn't work out, if it wasn't because, I started to work on myself, I would probably not be here right now talking to you.
There was something very interesting that whenever we did like a little, it was with Amiga Latina, I think it was like a little workshop or something. You were very open, like an open book. Let me just check that. Okay, like an open book where you told the story about your cuts in your arm. So that was that suicidal attempt.
Yes. So when I was, like I said, when I was 17, that was the first time I don't know why I thought, okay, this is the way. I was just having this mental breakdown, and I remember everything was like going so fast, and I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm honestly done. I was so overwhelmed about, like, if you ask me, there were so many things happening in my life at that moment that right now I feel like it's nothing, that I've overcome all other like bigger things that were waiting for me. But I feel like at that age, when you're so young,
overwhelmed.
You don't have the tools or the resilience or the emotional intelligence to deal with all of that. So that little thing seems like it's a lot.
Right.
So I cut my arm. I had around almost 30 stitches on my arm, both of them. And after that, the recovery process was like I could barely like move my arms. And then it was summertime. So I would have like this, the skin, it takes time to recover. And it was like, this pink scars and the skin looks like a little bit too much. And it took me a long time to feel comfortable with my scars. And I remember one friend once told me, would you ever like remove your scars? Because nowadays there's a lot of like
so many
laser
ways.
and like this like surgery or beauty treatments that take or help you have a different aspect on your skin, or maybe getting a tattoo or something like that to cover up. And it was like, no, you know what? Now I feel proud of wearing these scars, because it's the proof that I went through something that probably a lot of people went through, but the difference is that they may not have scars, or you cannot tell.
Or they succeed on it,
and then
really
they're not
didn't
here
make it.
anymore. And I'm just like, I have so many things going on that describe me, and the scars are not really just who I am. They're a part of me, yes, but they're not the whole story.
Tell me about your weight loss journey.
So I feel like, first of all, my overweight came with all of this depression that I was dealing with for a long time. So I feel like when you're depressed, you don't really want to work out. You don't want to take care of your health. Like, your physical health is just not a priority. So I think one of the moments that really made me change who I was at that moment, because if I'm honest with you, when I was overweight, I will lie to myself and I will say like, oh, you're pretty like that. You don't really need to lose weight. And I feel like part of me will believe that, and it's true. Like, it doesn't matter how you look like, but I knew that wasn't the real me. Like, I knew like there was something inside of me that I was like, this is not really who you are.
Right.
And
it was what the story you were telling to yourself. So let me ask you something, because I hear a lot that yo soy gordita pero feliz. So is that really true? I mean, it's a gordita feliz, really?
I mean, maybe for some of for some people might be real and might be their true, and then they feel comfortable that way, and then they're really proudly. And I feel like it's okay. Everyone should be however they want and feel good, as long as they really feel good about what they are and
It's
how
true, with
they
their
are.
soul and their brain.
But I knew at that moment that because of all these limiting beliefs, I was telling myself something that it was a lie. I knew, like, deep in my soul, I knew that wasn't the real Ruby.
And when did it click?
So when I moved here from Mexico City to Las Vegas, I still was married, and we got divorced probably 4 or 5 months. And that to me was a life changer. A lot of things changed for me at that moment because not only I moved to a different country, I had this idea of, having this beautiful family and the house and the dog.
The perfect life.
And I kept the dog, of course.
Yeah.
But that to me was a really...
Is that Capitan?
Yeah.
Love him.
Yeah, I brought my little Chihuahua with me from Mexico City. He is the love of my life. And at that moment, I was like, I started questioning myself. I was like, is this the real you? I remember for the longest time, I will tell myself, like, I'm not a morning person. I will say that, like, every day. I'm not a morning person. I'm not a morning person. And then I switched that, and I was like, you know what? You're going to wake up super early, and then we're going to get a workout, and then we're going to start eating healthy. And part of that helped me having, like, a really good support system around me. That was also a life changer for me.
How did you get to that support system? How did you find them, or how does that work? Because not everyone is able to find it right away. Did it start with your mindset?
Yes. I feel like throughout all of these years, I've also did a lot of healing. So I was taking therapy. I was doing a lot of workshops. I really spent a lot of time, effort, and money into therapy. So I got to have a lot of tools around me that started changing my mindset.
Right.
That helped me through. I guess, for so many years, I will go to these workshops, I will go to all of these retreats, and I will fill myself with information, but I never got to apply none of that. And I feel like that could happen to many of us, right? We can just read a book, we can get ourselves overwhelmed with all of this knowledge, but it's not till the day that you start practicing what you think you know, and you apply it in your life and you have a result.
But
don't
you
really
think that,
do.
Right? But don't you think that that's a good start, though?
It is. It is.
Because it's like, okay, you have to start somewhere, right?
Exactly. And then I think that at that point in my life, when I was like, this is it. Like, I need to change some things. Like, something is not okay. That was when I realized, like, I'm going to start changing my mindset. And yeah, you're right. When you change your mindset, I feel like the right people comes along. And now I know that everything that I happened and everything that I went through was a blessing, because without any of that, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. And I love having to go through all of that. And it's beautiful. Resilience is beautiful. Struggle is beautiful. I sometimes feel sorry for the persons that they have never gone through any type of struggle in their life, because they don't understand the beauty that it comes with it. It comes a lot of wisdom. It comes a lot of experience. It comes like this fire. I sometimes it's insane when I try to explain this, but I feel this fire inside of me, and till today I don't feel like there's anything that I cannot achieve.
There's when it comes prioritizing, right? Because it's like, okay, what do I want first, right? So I think that you've been working on a path in such a beautiful and smooth way. Like, okay, let's work on myself first, and then goal number 1, goal number 2, goal number 3. Doesn't matter how far or how high it is, you're still working on it. So listen, time is gonna come. But I want to talk about also, recently you did a fitness competition.
Yeah.
So how was that? Because I know it's brutal.
It is brutal. It was a great experience. But I feel like you need to have a strong mindset, and you really not need to have this self-love relationship with yourself. You really need to have your self-esteem blinded, like waterproof, bulletproof, because if you don't have all of those tools, it cannot be very empowering, or it could be, because the competition world is tough.
It can be damaging, right?
It can be, if you don't have the right mindset, if you don't have your why, then yes. I would never suggest that experience to someone that's working on their confidence and working on themselves.
So it's not the first step. It wouldn't be ever your first step.
I don't
to
think
confidence.
so. I feel like it takes a lot to put yourself on a stage on a bikini. Like for me, the first time I was freaking out. I was like, this is a tongue. This is so small.
You're like, this is
I was
my
like,
bikini?
am I gonna wear this? And then I remember my coach was
that's
like,
so cute.
yeah, I mean, everyone is wearing that. Like, this is
that's
so
the big one.
normal. And I'm like, can I get something like to cover more of me? And they're like, no, Ruby, like, this is it. It was like definitely took me out of my comfort zone 100%.
Right.
And also, it gave me this fire inside that I just wish everyone could feel the same way.
But you have natural fire. Let me tell you, this woman does this. I remember, and it's very engraved in my mind. I remember you looking at yourself in the mirror. We were in a photo shoot, and you look at yourself in the mirror. And I don't know if we're going to blip this, pero me acuerdo que me dijiste, ay, todo esto y nadie se lo está comiendo. And to me, that was like, oh my God, this is Ruby. It's like that's the way you should talk to yourself every time you look at the mirror,
Oh,
So to me, that was so funny, but also so empowering because I know, I don't know you for a very long time, but I known you from the first time you went to the studio, you were completely another person, not only physically, but also you were different. I mean, and now that I talk to you, you feel like a different person, and I haven't seen you in a while. So it's to me, it's very interesting how that works. Everything you've been through, and you put yourself through because it was totally voluntarily. So it's not that somebody pushed you to do it.
No.
So, but I remember
did it
that.
myself.
But I remember that one time when Ruby said that, to me was so funny, so funny. But I'm so proud of you for everything you've done. You look amazing, amazing. I am seeing your photos. Please follow this woman on Instagram. We're gonna leave all her information right here because it's literally very.
Le dije, no. Le dije, nadie va a trabajar más que yo. Le dije, aquí hay mucho talento, muchas chicas guapísimas, cuerpazos y todo. Le dije, pero esto, le dije, nobody's gonna outwork me.
Yeah,
like
so,
I know how to
so
work
let
hard.
me go back because we were talking and I just thought this was so interesting because Ruby wasn't 100% ready for the competition that she did. When was the competition?
It was April.
No, right? Yeah, it was not too long ago.
The 8th.
Yeah.
The 8th.
So
of this
she wasn't 100% for the competition, and people were telling her, "Don't do it. You're not prepared. You need more time. You need more muscle. You're going in las grandes ligas." So, and she's like, "I'm gonna do it," and you did it. So, but then whenever tell us what you were telling me whenever you got off the stage.
Oh, so I'm gonna rewind a little bit.
Okay.
So I remember one day prior to the competition, my dad came from Mexico City, and it's been 1 year since I last saw him. So I was like very happy to have my dad there. That was like the biggest prize for me, having my dad. I could care less about everything that was going on around me. Whenever I saw him on Friday, one day before the competition, I was like, oh, my daddy, and I hugged him, and to me, that was it. But I remember we were driving, and I'm like, Pa, he's like, what's up? And I'm like, me metí en la boca de los lobos. And he's like, I know.
But he never told you. He never said. He was not the one that said, "Don't do it."
Oh no!
No.
He was like very happy and proud of me, and he actually was like the first time into like this world, like the introduction of a competition. Like, so when I went up there, they called my name, so I just like I go out to the stage, and somehow my dad got a seat behind the judges. So I just go, and you cannot see anything. Like everything is dark because you have the lights on you.
They're
and
blinding you.
then all that you can see is the judges, literally the judges, and then like the line.
Can you see the expressions?
Them.
Like if somebody's like,
oh yeah, the judges you can
okay.
see them like very well, and whoever is like behind them.
Your dad.
And my dad was like right there, and then I could not forget. Like I have this memory like in my head, and he's like. With his phone recording me, he's like, and then that made me laugh. I was already smiling, but that made me laugh. So like all the time I was looking at the judges, but I was like really looking at him. So it seemed like I was looking at the judges, but I was like really seeing his face the whole time.
So that wink that you did on stage was for him?
Oh, yeah.
That's so cute.
I was like playing her, and I already had that on my routine, like the wing and like playing.
Okay.
And
because
I feel
that's
like,
so you. So
oh,
you.
yes. I feel like I felt very confident.
But then, sorry to interrupt you, but then tell me about it because that was
I'm
very
so
touching. So
sorry,
you
I'm
went
just going.
downstage.
And then, yeah, I was like seeing my dad, and then they started the call outs.
Yeah.
And like, of course, like they didn't say my name. I was like all the way back, like, hi. But I couldn't stop smiling because I was like looking at my dad. My dad was there, and we're sharing this moment, and I felt like the most luckiest girl in the world. Then we come out of the stage, and my coach was like, he was like,
did he say everything with his eyes? Or?
Yes, I could see his expression, like, just very serious, not knowing what to expect. Because he doesn't, like, know me that well. We've been working for 4 months.
Yeah.
So he kind of, like, knows me, but he doesn't know how I'm going to react into, like, certain things that aren't new to me.
He probably thought you were going to start crying or something.
Maybe. I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, there were girls super angry because they were placed at top 5 and not top 3.
Oh, wow.
And they were, like, very upset, you know?
That's good. I mean,
so I was, like, there. He just looks at me, and he's like, how are you feeling? And I was like, I want more. I was like, this is not it.
That's my favorite part.
I was like, this is not
the
it.
end.
I'm like, I'm coming for more. I'm working hard. Like, nobody's going to outwork me. So that, to me, it's just, my confidence went up. And it may seem like, Ruby, but you didn't got first place. Like, how is your confidence going up?
How are you so happy?
And then I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, with the competition that I had with myself, with my previous version, of course, like, I'm so proud of me. And then also, a lot of people, they're ready, they have everything, but they don't take the first step. They're so scared to take action. And if there's something that I have is I take action.
Yeah,
I may not know what am I doing, like how is it gonna work out, but I just take action. And what happens is that you start with experience, you start acquiring more knowledge, and you're already taking action. You're already out there. So it's like whatever else that I need, I'm gonna get there somehow. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'll figure it out in a way. And I'm gonna take that as a cue to take you to our Ruby the entrepreneur, because you have been doing your business. You run your business, and now you have the magazine.
Yeah. So
tell me about that.
It's so funny because since I started working with my confidence as like this inner aspect that we're talking about, since I started my healing process and my healing journey and this fitness journey as well, I feel like I've come to work with this confidence, and it doesn't reflect on the physical part. It also reflects on every aspect of your life.
Right, and so the magazine came into your life as an idea that you already had before, and then you're like, okay, now it's time because now I know what I want, and this is the project I want to go for?
So the story is really funny because I had a friend, he's a photographer, he's an amazing photographer, and he was doing a shoot on a suite at Planet Hollywood because there was this fitness event, the Olympia, and there were like athletes coming from all over the world, and he had already scheduled some models for the shoot. And then he's like, Ruby, I'm going to have this suite, I'm going to be doing shoots, and I want to shoot you. And I'm like, well, I don't do fitness like at that level.
First of all,
you're because models are pros. So I'm like, no. And he starts laughing, and I'm like, I know. I mean, for your business, like for your personal branding. And I was like, okay. And I had this idea of this like outfit with like very like kind of like formal outfit, like business casual, but more of like magazine style. And I was like, it would be so nice being on the cover of a magazine. And then I'm like, but I'm not gonna wait till somebody comes and asks me, oh, you want to be in the cover of a magazine?
Like, I'm gonna create my own magazine.
So I was like, this is so beautiful. I wanted, it's like, I'm gonna do my own.
Right.
Like, why am I gonna
it's
wait
beautiful. I remember
for an
that
invitation?
cover.
I'm like, nope. And then it was, Jackie, I'm not kidding. That was throughout December, the last year, and I couldn't go to sleep. And I feel that's beautiful. That's the beauty of it.
That's what you want to highlight. And you know that the magic of this is that, well, I did it with the bright side. So and you're putting it in a magazine with photography, with articles. And I feel that it's very important that we have that, like that, how how you call it, like window, let's put it that way, a window where we can highlight amazing people with amazing stories. And now you bring it in a magazine, and I'm so proud of you for doing that. The magazine looks amazing. I really hope that we can hear more about it and make sure that we somehow connect and collaborate with each other, because I know you are amazing, and I really wanted to tell you that.
What we can learn from this is just rewrite your story, rewrite your script. This is not the end. Whatever you think is the end is not. You always have the power to be the director of your own movie and flip the script whenever you want. So let's just not forget how powerful we are to write our own story and not give the power to somebody else to write that story for us. So I feel like as women, as men, as human beings, it's very important to not forget that we're very powerful and we take ownership of everything that's happening. We are creating that story. It comes from within. So
that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Ruby. Thank you everyone for watching. We will see you guys in the next episode of The Bright Side.
Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and like us on Facebook.